Our final game of the night, and it is probably the most important tiebreaker that we have. Whilst the other games were important in terms of seeding and what goes on in those playoff matches next week, this will decide whether one team or the other actually makes it to playoffs. Granit and Godsent are fighting for that fourth and last spot in Group A for that playoff seed. And honestly, it's going to be a really tough match to call. Granit came onto the scene with an absolute bang. They were taking games left, right, and center. Looked like they were potentially scalping some of the bigger teams. And then they kind of fell off a little bit. They lost momentum. They lost a little bit of their, I guess, explosive surprise, I suppose, that they had when they came on to as like a new team into the NLC. And Godsent, I've been up and down, but they played better in the second half. They played better in their second round robin, and how again, a little bit like Nordavind, started to gain a bit of momentum coming to this tiebreaker. We are into Champions Select. This, I think, will be a tough one to call because I feel like Granit, when they play at their top level, beat Godsent, but them playing at their top level hasn't felt as consistent recently.
Yeah, Godsent. I think it's always been a thing for Godsent where if they find successful laning for it, and I'm not gonna fully quote Gorbo, but you know, Godsent, if they win lane, they typically have a really strong chance at winning the entire game. So as Gorbo typically does say, win lane, win game. I think for Granit, I don't know if they got the memo on what patch we're on, but apparently they still want to first pick the Olaf, which, you know, I don't think it's terrible, but I think it's going to be hard when you don't necessarily have like the Seraphine back up straight away. We'll have to see how they actually draft around the Olaf now, because he's not that same powerful, broken champion that he was last patch. Godsent though, loads of options for them. Yeah, I think Lilia's probably the best out there, unless they really felt like going something. I don't know really. That the Incision Graves could have been an option, but Lilia I think is fine, and they can probably pick up a really strong AD carry. None of them were really pinched away, so I'd expect that to maybe be their rotation here with Lilia.
Center open.
Yeah.
Gonna pick that one up. I feel like they still have a lot of options that they'd pick to go for. In terms of Granit, I feel like you want a mid lane who can contest priority quite well to sort of support the Olaf. Obviously, Azir is a big one there, because I think if you let the enemy team get like Azir Senna,
yeah,
game's over. I think you just kind of
it's such a broken.
Go next.
It's a really strong combo, AD mid. You have all the range from Senna, you have all of the zoning tools from Azir, it's mixed damage. Obviously Senna scales infinitely, Azir feels like he's always just strong. Seeing some hovers from Sahira, interesting poke champions. I think Azir's obviously on the front of our minds, but we'll see what actually the lock-in ends up being.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Corki, honestly. He tweeted out about his cool Corki performance. It's Twisted Fate. Okay, Twisted Fate is going to be the pickup. But I imagine that Silk does just go Azir here. Then it's like a really strong combo that you talked about a lot. Tahm Kench is the lock-in though. So they're going to fasting Senna with quick timeout on the Tahm Kench. Interesting.
Yeah,
I feel like
go.
I feel like Granit's picks look pretty good. This was like 2 weeks ago, you know, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, like you got the Olaf, you got the TF, these are like huge priority picks, but it's like now Senna, Tahm Kench, absolutely massive. Like, where's the threat gonna come from like, how are you gonna threaten this Senna when there's a Tahm Kench? You can't gold card it because you'll just get eaten.
Yeah.
Olaf can run at her, again, being eaten. It's gonna cause so many issues, and already I feel like Godsent are winning the scaling. And they still have their mid and top to sort of round that out. I think Granit are really in a difficult spot here. It'll be interesting to see how they navigate this one from here.
Yeah, obviously jokes aside of sort of saying, are these guys drafting on 11.2 or something? They're in a position where if they don't ban Azir next, they're going to lose mid-prior when they have TF. They're going to be outscaled almost every time. Godsent, honestly, as long as they ban Rel, I think they're fine in the bot side. And they're going to have counterpick on the top side. So I'm really struggling to see what Granit are actually going to look for here, because they're putting themselves in a position where they have to meet such a high execution floor into what Godsent currently have. There is no Rel ban though, so they could be okay depending on whether Dr. Chaos actually wants to run it or not.
The Shen ban comes through. Again, we have one more pick ban. Sorry, one more ban here from Granit in the second ban phase. You know, Trouble actually mentioned that Silk hasn't played Azir once the entire split. Maybe this is just something that Granit aren't particularly concerned about being picked up. I think most mid laners worth their salt should be able to play Azir, realistically. Now, if Sylas gets locked in, it's the general, in inverted commas, counter to Twisted Fate, because you can steal the ultimate, you can follow, you can have the impact. And it will be the Sylas, which I feel like does everything opposite to what Godsent want to do in a team fight. But, there it is.
I'm gonna have hope now, at least.
Yeah, there's some hope. Now, Granit, if they're still drafting on 11.2, you could just see like Camille Rel, and I think that's fat.
J4 support?
But Rel's
J4
open.
support.
But Rel's open. But Rel is a champion. Rel exists on this patch. Okay, give me something that TF can play towards. Give me something that Twisted Fate can play towards, and I won't lose my mind.
This is real 11.2.
This is
before people thought Rel was good.
Okay, but Zombie's just gonna lock in Gangplank if it's a zombie champion. Gangplank dumps the Aatrox. It has a really good time into most of the Granite champions except for like Olaf.
Okay, I'm gonna
play devil's advocate for me here, please, because I'm struggling to see merit.
The thought process behind the Jarvan is Tahm Kench eats the target and you ult them and they're trapped there. I'm assuming that's the thought process. There isn't as much protection as we expected there to be for this Senna, so potentially that is now something they have an opportunity to punish, whereas before we're kind of like it's closed and shut. A lot of disruption on both sides. I think Godsent really started the draft strong. I'm not as big of a fan. I think the Sylas makes sense in isolation, but in terms of what they want to achieve, I'm not as big of a fan. I think Set is okay. I guess, he's good at sort of handling a lot of these bruises will be diving forwards, but I'm still confused. I'm not a huge fan on either side, but I'd probably give the edge to Godsent.
I feel like Godsent basically set us up. They had us in the first half, right? They had us in the first half of the draft. We were like, damn, son, they're really. And then the second half of the draft just went off like some sort of wild tangent, some country road that has yet been trodden. Guys, instead of having the big long Foxdrop level tease at the end of this, I am just going to give this time over for our final game of the night.
Yeah, they can deal with it. Yeah.
I don't actually want to deal with this, so I'm going to let these guys deal with it. Hit Brain and Trouble, please deal with it.
Thanks, scoundrel. I'll remember when you threw me under the bus like that. Trouble, Jarvan support. Talk to me about it.
Okay, so not to be biased, because Treats from SK played a really sick Jarvan in the LEC last week, but I kind of do like it because of the nature of Granit to actually brawl the entire time. Like, Jarvan support is just a brawl type of champion. Now, something that I do not like about their draft is that Godsent is beefy. Godsent have a Tahm Kench, they have a Sylas that heals, they have a Set in the front line, Lilia's gonna have Hourglass. Who's gonna kill all these people? There's like no consistent damage. Jhin has only 4 shots, he has to reload. Twisted Fate doesn't do enough, and I'm actually quite scared if the Aatrox doesn't pop off, it's going to be a problem. This sort of draft is taken out of the SK gaming book. Like, the Aatrox with the Jarvan is just absolutely genius. The goal here is to lock in the Senna and then just pile up on her, but I just don't see the piling happening, because you put the Cataclysm down, you counter your own Olaf. How is he gonna walk in?
And you've also got to keep in mind is even if you do catch M-Test inside the Cataclysm, QuickTimer can just eat him, and then, I'm
just saying, like, a scenario where he's not around. Somehow the Senna has, like, wandered off in search for blueberries. I don't know. And she's all alone, and she's found by the Jarvan. Olaf can't walk in.
Are there many blueberries on the Rift? Do you often wander off into the wilderness looking for blueberries? Is this something you do?
I don't. Listen, I took it out of fairy tales, all right? I took it out of fairy tales.
What fairy tales start like that? I can't remember a single fairy tale that starts with someone wandering off into the forest or into the wilderness looking for blueberries and then getting jumped by a king and a Viking.
Okay, I'll put a spin on the Red Riding Hood. A little spin.
She doesn't go wandering off. She gets to deliver something to her grandmother.
Maybe she was wandering off to go to her grandma, picking blueberries all the way.
Yeah, no. No. We're off to the Rift. Luckily,
game mode?
and just defensive lines have been laid down. No team looking for too much. Galvin's going to start on the red side. Tamos is going to leash him here, so we'll be a little later to lane.
I just want to see what Dr. Chaos is gonna want to do here, because you can't kill your lane. For sure you can't win your lane. Tamki and Senna are so oppressive because they do have a lot of poke and they do have a lot of sustain with the Senna and they do outrange you, so they do have the upper hand at this point. And then Dr. Chaos has Ignite, which suggests to me that he will most likely want to roam towards the mid lane. But mid lane is going to be extremely hard to catch and kill because it's Silas.
Yeah. He said that, and even if you do catch him, he just Kingslayers and gets loads of health back, and you are the king. So, you know, he may just slay you.
Have Granit actually countered themselves?
Their draft was so big brain, but it transcended countering the enemy team, wrapped out, and then came back full circle, and they countered themselves.
It's kind of like the bullet that wraps around, right? Oh, Sahir with the level 2?
Yeah, he's trying to come up. He's got that gold card. Zombies use the Haymaker, so there's no shield available. And Tamal's got the Deathbringer stance heal in, so that is first blood to Granit.
Okay, that is actually big brain by Sahira. That was absolutely huge, because he also has the spell book, which means that his summoners are going to be refreshing much faster, so he's not necessarily going to miss that flash at all, because it's a Lilia Silas. He's not going to be that in danger. There's no hard CC unless the chain hits. Big brain by Sahira flashes in for the gold card, and then Tamos just gets a huge advantage in his lane. There's a huge wave crashing in top side, which he can freeze as well. That zombie doesn't have teleport. That is actually big brain by the mid lane of Granit.
Yeah, it was a really nice play actually there. Just cheeky punish. You know, there's no kill pressure in your lane, really. Well, from you anyway.
You know, the only other level 2 gank that I can think of that happened was Huhi on the Aurelion Soul 2015, if I'm not wrong, Worlds, where he runs it up with Aurelion Soul level 2 versus Faker and just killed the top lane. That was like next level, because at least Aurelion Soul travels fast, but Sahira like walked the distance.
Has got spellbook, so eventually you can just swap that into a ghost and then move up even faster to top lane. That's the play. That's the play here. But yeah, Tamos is once again trading with Zombie. Now, when he doesn't have Sahira here, even with that first blood, he is actually down in this lane. He's down in the CS department. He's getting bullied every time we look up there. So he is struggling. Galvin's actually looking to take away this chicken camp. Indecision will be able to pick up the remaining little chickens for himself.
The leftovers. He's just Galvin walked in, ate the chicken wing, and now Indecision is left there just licking the leftovers off of the bones. I'm sorry, I'll stop. I'm just out of control.
There's that goes. Galvin is looking to run Indecision down. Indecision does have flash, so we'll be able to survive that play. Meanwhile, here in the bot lane, Quick Timer blocks the deadly flourishes. Michigu's got that 4th shot ready to fire, but not going to get it off now. Not a bad trade, actually, for Granit in the bot lane, but we'll see if it sticks as M-Test is able to heal back up.
Those flags are actually really hurting, but you poking all the time with the flags, that means that your mana goes constantly down on the Jarvan, and M-Test from the Senna does have a lot of sustain with the heal as well. This is why you see that even though they're low, they're able to walk up the second the Jarvan starts running out of mana, because it's most likely going to be an hourglass Jarvan. It's going to be extremely squishy, so if you can punish him before that, it's going to be a big go-go for Godsent.
Ooh, Zombie. Taking a nice trade there into Tamos. Tamos obviously will be able to heal up somewhat with a Darkened Blade. Again, another Fasting Center here. So this time, it's definitely going a little bit better than our last Fasting Center we saw.
Oh, M-Test and Quick Timer faked the recalls, so they allowed Dr. Chaos and Michigu to go back to base, and they pushed an entire wave that Michigu was not able to catch up on, which is actually pretty nice to see from the side of Godsent. They're trying to win out of CSing because their teamfights later on are going to be so much more valuable for them versus Granit's teamfights. They do both have really nice champions for a 5v5, but I do favor the side of Godsent due to the Silas and the Senna later on.
Yeah.
And of course the set.
And like we were saying as well, with the Jarvan,
I just want to see how this is going to work, honestly.
with the Jarvan and Olaf, you're kind of tripping over each other trying to find the pick. Like, all of the champions individually are fine, but just the way that this kind of worked out means that, you know, Olaf won't be able to get into the pit with whoever's there. So maybe Dr. Chaos uses it to kind of keep members like maybe indecision off while they jump onto M-Test or like keep quick timer and like people pinned away. That could be the play they go for and use the Jarvan more as, instead of finding the pick onto someone, using it to separate, a bit like a cast almost.
Okay, that's an ADC gank. I like that. The way it was used with SK is because the Jarvan was playing with a Kalista. You can pop him in, you can pop him out, you can ult in, you can drag him out and that. And you also create so much space because Kalista is so short range. You also create space, you put people in the Cataclysm so they can't reach you, but you can jump around the Cataclysm all you want and DPS them freely pretty much. So that makes sense, but I'm just waiting for the first interaction between the Olaf and the Jarvan, and I would like to see what you mentioned as well, something like a zoning tool for the Jhin to free fire, but again, it's not an attack speed ADC, so even if you do Cataclysm, he has full shot, he has to back off.
Yeah. Tamal's actually really getting bullied here. Obviously, he has sustained naturally. It is an Aatrox, but even so, Zombie now got the Bramble Vest, so trading into him is going to be pretty rough, at least for a little while. Now, we've told
River priority.
fairly soon, but yeah, we are talking river priority for this Herald as Destiny's been used, and in comes the gold card, but it's been turned around by Silk, who's looking for one, but Sahira's able to survive, and with that Ragnarok burning, Galben continues to chase. Now he's got the Destiny. Now he's got the turnaround. Although Galben's going to do a little bit back into him. Zombie's making his way over. Got that slam from the Showstopper. Going to find himself one. Slams in the next, and that's going to be another. As Tamal's now looking for Silk on the tail end, but the heals are there, and Tamal's can't even get close. The curtain has been called, and Silk is taken out as the fourth shots are big, but it's not going to be big enough. Zombie able to survive. And it is a 2-for-1.
It was actually big enough to get Silk right there because Silk tried to use his hook, his chain, onto Tamas to try and survive right there for the heal. But Mishigu ends up getting in from downtown. Nevertheless, this is a great trade for Godsent. They managed to get 3, if I'm not wrong, right here. They get some mid lane push, they get some mid lane damage. Here, Indecision is level 5 versus level 6 Olaf. You're never going to survive this. Luckily, Silk is around to try and force a trade off of the Twisted Fate, walks back in with the ultimate that he stole from the Twisted Fate, and mind you, Dr. Chaos is only level 4, he's an AP Jarvan, he's extremely squishy, he literally went down in one punch, and once Zombie walks in with that set who's extremely strong, just decimates the fight, and that tip from the Senna heal is what saves the day. If Silk was able to get back onto Tamas, Aatrox, and heal from his W as well, he would have made it out of the curtain call, wasn't meant to be, yet it was still a favorable trade for them.
Yeah, I was wrong actually. I said 2-for-1. It was a 3-for-2. So slightly right, slightly wrong. Ultimately, Godsent do come out on top. They swap their bot lane up while Mishigu actually went to push bot lane. So priority top side not being achieved by Granit, and Godsent should be able to just get first prior on this river. Zahira, though, doing a pretty decent job here mid, although Silk is jumping into him. Galben's making his way over, and Silk has to be so careful. Gonna steal away the Ragnarok, uses it to dodge away on everything, and lovely use there by Silk. Gets a massive trade up. Now, there is a teleport available to Zahira if he wants to come and join in on to this Rift Herald, and maybe we might see a little bit of action. Tamal's about to get his TP up. It looks like Granit, they're not quite done yet. Galben does have the Ragnarok, so he can just walk through if he wants to go for the smite. Teleport's getting used, and they're looking for the turn. I think that's just going to be it for Granit. They call it off.
Yeah, Zombie right there had actually the lane priority, so he was able to walk away from what? Grey health?
He was CC'd too long. I need to see that again. I was not expecting that much damage to come out from that fourth shot.
Oh, that was a big boo-boo but quick timer right there, especially since he has Chem Tank. He's so tanky. He's got his grey health. The Senna was there with the ultimate. I don't know what happened, but he got blown up completely. So again, they pull Zombie's TP. Zombie was able to push his wave down bot lane so he wouldn't really mismatch. Quick timer, what exactly are you doing there?
He wasn't CC'd.
He didn't pop his grey health.
What? Yeah, I thought he was CC'd. That's why I assumed he didn't grey health.
He
He was just walking out. Meanwhile, M-Test has to flash away. The curtain calls come down onto him and has got himself a bit of movement speed from his Shroud, and here comes Indecision, hits the wall with the Swirl Seed, but can get in range to land this Q. Dr. Chaos will sacrifice his life. The teleport's coming in, the stopwatch is there, the railgun gets fired off as here comes Mishigu, here comes Tamoz. Indecision going very, very low. Sahira's made his way over as well. The Deadly Flourish is going to get dodged out by the Gobble, and now Quick Timer caught out by the Gold Tard. This time able to use the Grey Health. Now M-Test looking to turn it around as Silk sped his way over. Once again, the gold card is available. Silk has stolen away the World Enders. Mishigu now maybe on the receiving end of a little bit of love. This is going to be the end of Sahira. He's going to lose his life. M-Test gets the kill. Silk lands himself the chains onto Tamos with the Abduct, and Silk finds himself the kill. The refresh on the World Ender for more healing. And meanwhile, in the bot lane, Galben's going to take the Drake.
The way that Godsent kited that fight was godlike. They were going in on the cooldowns, they were running back out, and Granit kept running at them, really hungry for the kills. Meanwhile, Zombie gets bigger and bigger and bigger, gets so many platings. I don't think he's gonna get away here because it's level 9 Olaf, but let's see.
I mean, Zombie has that shield to work with, so I think he is getting away with it. Thanks to the teleport of Silk as well. Galben maybe biting off a little bit more than he can chew. Hasn't actually got that much damage yet.
Yeah, and it was the Javan that was actually coming in. It wouldn't be a big help on the damage department. So Dr. Chaos ends up going down really quickly, uses his stopwatch as well. He won't be able to use that next fight. And Indecision plays around all the Cs thrown at him so well, then gets eaten up by Quick Timer, put all the way back to safety. And look how they're playing this fight. Silk walks in, they poke down Sahira. Quick Timer walks in for the gold card on him because he knows he's not gonna die. The Guardian pops up because he had the cooldown. Indecision walks in, gets the proc from the movement speed from his passive, and then Silk goes in to finish the fight. That was so beautifully kited by the side of Godsent.
Yeah, it was really, really flawlessly done. And that means M-Test now 2-0-4 on the fasting center. So actually on track to get some good items as well in pace with his opponent. On Mishigu. Mishigu gonna get pulled in under the tower by Zombie, and actually not doing too much damage with that force shot onto the tower, although Zombie is taking a little bit of poke here, able to dodge away on the shield from Zombie there. Drifter will get summoned up in the bot lane, in the top lane, and that tower actually will survive.
So here's the difference between the previous Senna and this Senna.
Yeah,
this Senna is actually receiving kills. She's been in 6 out of 6 fights just because Godsent play for their bot lane. Their bot lane is their core. M-Test and Quick Timer are the true carries of this team. They've made sure that this fasting Senna is included in every single kill, in every single assist, and she will very soon, if not on the next back, have that Kraken available.
Now, Mishigu actually did just get solo plate gold on that first turret blood. So as we toggle over to the gold, there is a significant gold difference between M-Test and Mishigu right now. 1,600 gold in the inventory of Mishigu. So he'll have his Gale Force finished up on this base. Galben able to strip away some of the jungle. They took the Gromp as well, which Mishigu picked up. So Indecision is losing some camps, and Galben is slowly eking out ahead as far as that gold goes. We can talk about just to the items and see where we are. So the Gale Force has been finished up. Mishigu gets himself double longswords as well. Sahira still working towards his proto belt. So a little bit further behind at the moment. The Gore Drink is finished up into Galben.
Back in? There he is.
Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. I think Tamoz should be fairly close to his Gore Drinker as well, although he has been playing weak side. Yeah, he should have his Gore Drinker now. So, yeah, there it is. Everyone's getting their mythics, and AP Jarvan. Completely forgot that I called him TSM for a minute. AP Jarvan got the Seeker's Arm Guard. Wow, my brain is fried. Actually fried. I can't remember the name of any items right now.
Okay, so Granit are walking onto the rift with their items completed first. With all these brawls going on, the gold is actually completely even. But the further it goes into the late game, the more it is going to benefit Godsent because they have the ever-scaling ADC in the likes of Senna. She will never stop scaling, she will never stop getting souls. The further it goes into the game, the more gold she will get, the more items she will get, which is going to be extremely painful to deal with because the Olaf won't be able to reach the backline, the Aatrox won't be able to reach the backline, and when they do, the Tamkins will be there to make sure that they don't go any further and they don't assassinate the carry. So The more the time goes on, the more this is Godsent favored. This is why you don't see Godsent making any crazy plays. This is why every time a play has gone down, Godsent have played this to absolute perfection.
Yeah. There is another word for it. Now, they are looking to pick up their first dragon. Granit were able to pick up the first two. It is a mountain soul in this game, so just like our first game of the day. If Granit can get that, that puts them onto soul point. Now, it does make it a little bit nicer for the likes of Mishigu, who will be able to survive an all-in from Silk if he can get that soul with the extra resistances and the shield to cut through. Definitely makes his life a lot easier. And he's got the last whisper, so he is built to kind of cut through the likes of the front line, like Zombie and Quick Timer.
I do agree with you right here, but Granit, again, first ones in the river. Godsent are going to have to be extremely careful on how they approach this because, like you said, extra defenses are going to be really nice on the carries of Granit, and their front line, of course, like Aatrox with extra defenses is going to be absolutely massive. So what Godsent is doing here is they're trying to grab Granit's attention in the mid lane by pushing in the wave and trying to make their way in. But this is actually so tough. They might actually decide to swap this for a Herald instead.
Yeah, he is.
I think this is worth it. You give them soul point right here, and your Senna is going to be that much stronger in the next fight to come. Just grab the Rift Herald, which you're not doing.
That could be problematic because they could have traded Rift Herald and cracked open mid lane, but now it's not gone down. Granit can also look to put some attention into Rift Herald themselves if they would like to. So Hero's been sent up to the top lane to deal with this wave, but Silk has been able to push in. Zero obviously got that Proto Belt available, so has a bit of movement speed to work with. And there's still vision, a little bit of vision for Granit in the area. There's that pink ward in the Pixel Brush by the Rift Herald, which means Granit would have some idea if Godsend move over to do that. So it looks like the reset's coming in, the gold's going to get spent, and I'd actually really like to see Granit translate this into a Rift Herald. They've only got 2 minutes left to do it. But picking it up would be massive here because they could use it to crack open mid lane. Their mid tower is still incredibly healthy, so Godsend would need to do a fair amount to actually crack it. And the pings are going down, the blue pings as well, so it does look like this will be the attention for Granit.
So what actually would be needed right here from Godsend is to try and get the Rift Herald as close to the time that the dragon is coming up. So maybe allow it 45 more seconds and then try to get it then, so you can use it as pressure in the mid lane to try and go for the dragon. But Granit, again, they've got the pressure, they've got the items at this point, and they're using it. Triple lane priority means you get to move first into the river and take this Rift Herald without anyone contesting you. Godsend have taken their foot off the pedal, but extremely much. They're playing extremely cautiously. They're waiting for the Senna to get beefy, but I'm not sure how much you can give away because your tower in mid lane is almost down. The Rift Herald's going to go down now.
Going down. M-Test is going to take the gold card. Takes a little bit, I say a little bit of damage, takes a lot of damage. They're not going to use the gobble yet. They want to wait it out, and down goes that tower. Are they going to get a second charge? Silk will finally take the top lane tower, and it looks like Granit, they are going to push it here. Red card comes out, the wave gets cleared out, and a lot of damage coming out from those from the charges there.
Indecision walked in, tried to get the eye right there, but when the flag goes down, you're really threatened by Dr. Chaos for the big cataclysm into an Olaf trying to run in the cataclysm. I still need to see that interaction here, Brent. I still need to see that happening for me to actually say, yes, that is actually a genius plan, put the cataclysm down, have the Olaf wondering how in the world is he gonna get in because he doesn't have flash, he has burst.
They might just be playing it smart and recognizing that Olaf can't get inside apart from throwing axes. That's the only thing he can do. So for the moment, we've only seen one Cataclysm come out from Dr. Chaos, maybe two now. Been pretty lax with that ability, and obviously it could be the difference between making or losing a fight.
You have to pick your fights so carefully, especially if you're the AP Jarvan, because once you're in, if you don't have the Kalista to pull you back out, it's going to be extremely hard because you go in with your flag and drag, and by the time you've hourglassed, your flag and drag is not going to be up to take you back out of your cataclysm. So you have to be extremely cautious. You have to pick your fights. So far, Dr. Chaos has done a pretty stellar job at picking the fights he actually wants to go in. His ADs are 2 and 0. They have 2 items onto their Jhin. They can actually try and fight Godsent on their own terms, just because this Jhin Ishigu is extremely strong. They're going to get the right buff as well. 1.5 minutes left for that soul. And Godsent are going to actually have to come out of hiding and fight this.
I do start to worry now. The Rage Knife has been picked up here onto MTS. So I've seen 2 builds with this Senna where you go the Rage Knife and then get the Rage Blade third. You just keep the Rage Knife for the on-hit, for the passive, basically. And then you go into your Rapid Fire Cannon second. Den Voxney, in particular, has been doing that over in the UKLC a fair amount. Gives you so much range. It gives you so much range early as well, which is really hard and really obnoxious to deal with. Or, which most people have been doing, has been that Rage Blade, then get the Rapid Fire Cannon.
Yep.
So we'll see what MTS decides to go for here.
Oh, this is actually pretty dangerous what Godsent are doing right here. Especially if they don't catch anyone, it's extremely dangerous. They walked way too early into that river. They put already the vision down. There's only 1 pink ward remaining on quick timer, which they're going to have to use to try and clear some parts of this area. And they have to force Xil's TP as well, whilst the hero was pretty much free farming the entire time in the top lane, getting solo XP, solo gold, and having the Lich Bane. Can they catch solo?
Yeah, they are looking for it. And the Ragnarok has been burnt. So Hero's coming in over. And that's actually the Ragnarok down. Silk takes a gold card and just gets healed back up by M-Test. Not really going to do too much on that one. And now the Olaf actually doesn't have a way in. Silk jumps forward, does have that Cataclysm. They slam it down. Chaos also pops his own Cataclysm. Michigu's on the sideline, but here comes Tamos as well. Everybody caught out. The railgun's been fired, and Tamos caught inside all of Godsend. As the curtain has been called, M-Test needs to dodge away on these shots. But you're not going to be able to curve that bullet. Trying to steal away the dragon. It was close, but it was no cigar. Deadly Flourish also pretty close. Ooh. But again, no cigar. Godsend get the team fight, and they get their first dragon.
Their team fight was absolutely flawless right there, because they managed to catch Galban off guard. He has to burn his ultimate, which means that in the next fight to come, which was the dragon fight, he couldn't possibly pop that to try and save his skin. So he had to walk out. He walks back in. They tried to get a pick with Zahira. It doesn't work. When Dr. Chaos dives in, no one is there to follow up, because the teleport was too late, and it felt like Granit just fell apart on this fight because no one followed any of the calls right there, or whatever was being called at the time. I would like to see actually the replay. Perfect timing for the replay. So you see right here that the Olaf ultimate is already down. Silk tries to go in, and Dr. Chaos is like, I have to go in. I have no choice. Tamos is on the back line, but no one. This is the G2 Montes with the Aatrox, but Zombie takes Tamos out with his ultimate right at a very crucial time. If these Qs have landed on all 5 people, we would have the G2 versus Aatrox montage from Worlds.
Hey, Decision. Don't think I didn't see you flash on the spot there. Don't think I didn't miss that.
Was that on live?
Tragic.
Did I miss that?
He literally, right by the entrance to the river from the red side jungle, he just went and just flashed like an inch. Tragedy. Pure tragedy. This is great for Godsend. They're buying time for their Senna, who wants it to get some more souls, and slowing down this Drake win condition, or this Drake soul condition. 105 stacks on to M-Test right now. If anyone is curious, as you won't be able to see it thanks to our overlay. Didn't take Gathering Storm because he hasn't taken Sorcery Tree. I don't know why. I saw the Inspiration Tree and got a little confused there for a moment. Lots of Chaos getting slowed down by the Glacial Augment, but Flag and Drag means he's going to be able to get away. And the one thing Granit have going for them here, I say the one thing, the thing that Granit have going for them here is this tower is still very healthy mid lane, so they can play relatively safe underneath this tower, because you do not want to be diving into this Granit comp.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to, but the 3-man they have in the mid lane is not particularly too strong. If anyone gets picked apart, Galban's going to have to blow his ultimate, Mishigu's going to have to flash. If any of their CC hits, someone has to blow a summoner or they die. This is why they try to pick off Dr. Chaos over and over again. If they can blow his hourglass, this is the engage completely gone from the side of Granit. So here's going to pop his ultimate. He wants to make sure that he's safe on that side, and you see that instantly they just push the buttons to go in. Godsent are not scared, but on the other side there's just so much wave clear that they can't necessarily do much. Oh, there is the ultimate. There is the ultimate. This is the go button. Olaf cannot team fight, so you just push.
Yeah, so Hero made his way over to make sure they could wave clear throughout all of this, and they will be able to, but no Ragnarok on Galben for a while means that this is just the go button on Baron.
This is actually brutal because the Olaf is going to have to back or come back in without an ultimate. And he's got Ghost, no Flash. They're never, ever going to let him get in. There is the blast cone. There is the blast cone.
Yeah, he's looking to get over it, but it's actually Sahira on the flank. Baron's very, very low, and Godsent are just going to call it off as Tamos has to pop the world over. Zombie very low HP. Dr. Chaos pins everybody inside as the slam comes down. The railgun shield is there, but it's not going to be enough. N-Test going low. Galben mincing through indecision, and Silk is now being forced away. The curtain call will get the shutdown as well for Mishigu, and Chaos finds Quick Timer, finds the knockup. The Flourish connects, and Mishigu, with all that armor penetration, will make short work of the Catfish. Decides actually better of it, and Granit say, we don't want the ace. We want the Baron.
You really want to walk in there? You don't want to walk in there still. He has to push mid, and that was like a beautiful fight because when the TP came in from Tamos and Zombie was like, we got this, guys. We got the team fight right here. You saw the whole of Godsent back off, and then Zombie going in, and you're like, team? So right here, they're trying to bait them in. They know that the Olaf doesn't have any ultimate. This is the perfect time to actually go in. And Zombie is the only one on the front line. You see that the Cataclysm goes down, separates completely the fight, and then everyone gets picked apart by Godsent because they split. Granit are able to gun them down. And that Tamos TP actually was genius here because he got he managed to hit. I can't English right now. He managed to hit so many people with the Qs and the combo that was actually massive.
And now 13 seconds until this Dragon's up, and Granit are the ones with the inside track. They've got the Baron to get priority in these side lanes and his mid lane. And it's starting to feel a little bit rough here for Godsent. They're definitely not in a completely dire situation as the Destiny gets used by Sahira just to keep eyes on who is inside what. Zombie steps up forward, looking for Tamos, actually pulls him in with a phase breaker, but Zombie has to use the Haymaker shield nice and early as Tamos pops himself the Zonyas, or at least the stopwatch to stay alive. Do get a sleep off on to the curtain call to stop that from Mishigu. And Mishigu now actually going to get slowed down by the Swirl Seed. Silk lands that and finds himself the kill onto Chaos. Has to use his own stopwatch. Teleports are coming in, and this fight is continuing to go as Galben gets himself one. Zombie's just going to play Interrupt. He's just bolting towards Mishigu, cancelling out everything, and now he's looking for the kill. I think this might just be Granit losing members, although Tamos actually doing so much work there. Here comes Quick Timer. Quick Timer's going to get turned onto by Mishigu. Mishigu has to run away, so he's been slowed down. Has that force shot, going to try and land it, but the shield is big, and Zombie may just find himself the kill. The railgun's going to be enough to find the pop, and Zombie healed up. Zombie's out of there. Granit is just crumbling at the seams.
What is actually going on in this fight? Because people are walking in, people are walking out, people are running it down, people are inting, people are carrying in this fight. It was an absolute cluster F star of a fight. This is the nicest way I can put it. Tamos, though, gets caught.
Yeah, Tamos has a fair amount of healing, but the sustain is just not there when you've got all that anti-heal from Zombie. And Chaos has now made his way over. He's going to look to clear out the wards. There is an Olaf running towards here. The teleports are getting used, and I think we're in for round number 2 here, although it's 5 versus 4 this time, so odds of them actually getting close enough and not going to be there. And Godsent get their second dragon. Let's have a look at that fight again.
Yeah, let's look at that fight again because it was very confusing. So you see, it's a 4v5 right now, but Dr. Chaos goes down, extremely squishy. Clutch Hourglass right there from Silk, but Galben trades 1-for-1 with the 2 junglers. So here's what it's like. Sahira just runs it down mid. He's like, I got them, guys. I got them, guys. And then he's like, team, no one is around to help Sahira. He ends up going down. On the other side of the battlefield, Tamos is absolutely dismantling anyone in his way. Quick Timer is inting with the ultimate. He's like, I got you, Zombie. I'm going to save you, but who's going to save me? Because he literally runs into a Jhin and a very fed Aatrox. Zombie survives by the skin of his teeth with the Senna ultimate. And that was literally the most int team fight I've seen from both teams. And Godsent come out ahead.
That's probably a good way to sum it up. Genuinely got lost in that fight. I didn't know who was winning until it was over. Like, really hard to keep up with what was going on because people were just trading out constantly. It wasn't even really a team fight. It was just a series of skirmishes. But Godsent did win out on that fight in the tail end on the longest pick. Oh, well, the furthest point of it. Now, there's a 5-1-9 center. You were talking about when you play this fasting center, you want to go unchecked. And I think M-Test definitely unchecked. He's got the 3 items. These are like the big 3 for the center. Once you've got that Kraken Slayer, the rapid fire cannon, the Rage Blade, it gets pretty nasty to deal with.
The fact that you're able to match the Jhin very close to his items is absolutely huge because you've got the boost from your souls. You get the extra range, you get the extra stats that are so much more valuable than a Guardian Angel that the Jhin has. But he has to do it because Zombie's playing his face, because Silk is playing his face. He needs to keep himself safe because no one else will. You saw that when the Cataclysm goes down, Dr. Chaos dies. And no one else can walk into the Cataclysm. Like, Zahira can't do anything with the Cataclysm. Tamos only can try and wombo combo like they did at Baron, but that was because Godsent was so grouped up.
Quick timer is very quick. Able to dodge away on that 4th shot, but it's a lot of damage anyway. Galvan, now you're the one who's going to get chunked out. Half your health burn. And the slows are so big. Galvan's going to have to put that Ragnarok. Yes. Wanted to hold it as long as possible, but...
That's beautiful stuff. Remember, every single time Godsent are looking for an objective, they've got the poke, they've got the big potential, they take crucial ultimates, and that's when they move in. That will most likely give them a lot of mid lane prio, and the Baron's coming up, and Dr. Chaos.
I mean, Granit just getting chunked out for no reason. It's not even like
Oh.
Okay, again, they're getting chunked out for no reason, and that's Mishigu now. No Guardian Angel. Like you said, the Baron's coming up soon.
Remember that plus 1
is
item?
on the flank. Can he do anything here, though? Zahira's making his way forward and goes to that Proto Belt. Silk just stopwatches.
What is going on here, friend? What is going on?
That was a classy stopwatch. He dodged the gold card and knew he had his team, so he wasn't going to get any damage put into him that way. And that way, he's healthy. Meanwhile, Tamo's getting chunked, and now... M-Test is starting to hurt. Now M-Test is really starting to hurt. You saw that trade onto Zahira, chunking him out heavily.
All right, so let's take a check on what we have. Olaf ultimate back up. We're missing Senna ultimate, which is extremely crucial if you want to play the front to back. If you want to keep your front line alive so you can start pew-pewing in the back line, you need to make sure you have that Senna ultimate. All other summoners are up. The only thing that's not up is the Guardian Angel and Jhin. We mentioned how Jhin was like 1 up on the Senna in terms of items. Now that item passive, which is quite why you get the Guardian Angel. You don't really need the AD from it. There's much better AD items. You literally just buy it for the passive. It's just not there. So the items have been equalized between the 2 ADCs. Senna is extremely strong at this point. This is only going to be getting stronger, and the Jhin has to play extremely cautious. This is it. This is it.
This is last chance saloon for Granit. And that is an indecision. 3-man sleep. Teleports are coming in. Mishigu, remember, has no GA. Trying to put the damage into Silk, but Galvan actually able to find himself one. The curtain call is going to be unimpeded, and Chaos slides in onto M-Test. The 4th shot is there from Mishigu, and now Zombie Shield on Zahira. Not going to be close enough, so he has to flash, but he can't find it. Mishigu gets the double kill, and Granit find the win in the team fight over Godsend.
I'm not sure what that call was, but the second you press your Lilia ultimate and your entire team is at the other side of the map, there's no way they're gonna follow up. Silk tried and he failed because you know what? Because he had no hourglass hit frame. Because he used it in the mid lane for the gold card, and Granit are gonna use this to try and end the game.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to end. They've got the time. 15 seconds until these members start to come up, and Zahira's just running interrupt. Tower number 1 has gone down. Zahira continuing to keep indecision off his team. The Nexus has been exposed, and Granit, they're going to playoffs.
What an absolute brawl of a game that one was, Heatbrain. Absolute. I have never seen 2 teams run it down as much as these 2. It was literally, do you know the gentleman's throw, Heatbrain? Do you know when you have your game and you're like, where are you? Oh, this way. Kind sir, no, I want you to have the game.
No, I'm looking that way. There we go.
Yes. I'm like, kind sir, I want you to have the game. So I hand you the game, you take it, and then you're like, no, I don't want it.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
You may have it back. There you go.
Yeah, thank you. And then I'll throw it back to you. And then at some point, like the death timers are just too long, and whoever ends up standing, it's kind of like the chairs that you have to do or you run around and sit. At the end, whoever is like still standing is just out.
It felt like ping pong. They were popping it to each other, and when you play ping pong, you start quite close, and then you slowly go out, and you start trying to get a bit more stylish with it. And then Indecision goes for the trick shot when he puts 3 people to sleep, but actually hits it into the net, and that basically threw the game. It was a very, very back and forth game, and I'm going to be curious to see what our desks think about it. So I think it's time to pass it over to Dad, Rad, and Lad. Over to you guys.
What does Rad even mean? Like, who's Rad?
Who's who? That's my question.
Yeah, wait. So it's obvious who Dad is, right?
Yeah, of course.
You got that.
Oh.
Sorry.
Nah.
Sorry.
I mean, I've never taken the title of you.
Only one of us is a real dad, and I think.
I mean, you're a dad in both aspects of the word.
Okay.
You forgot to add an extra syllable to the end of that there.
Yeah,
Orcs,
your dad, your daddy. Okay.
I just got Orcs. Okay, I'm gonna. Anyway, let's get on to the game.
Pepe, save it. Good to go.
Stop it, Orcs. Okay, I am gonna talk about the game now. This is a game.
Yeah, there was a game
of League of Legends, and Granit took on Godsent, and actually, Granit came out on top, even though the drafts, you guys weren't particularly on board with what happened in the draft. I definitely felt like Godsent kind of threw the draft in the latter half. The way that they threw the game was kind of thrown as well. There were a lot of moments. I think Jake talked about that specific Lilia moment where you went for the big play and no one really followed up on it. But I'd like to get your guys' insights on how this game tipped out of favor from Godsent and how Granit were able to capitalize.
Well, something I want to say first is that there's so many discussions around draft, especially recently in League of Legends and the impact it make. I think this game was a great illustrator of the fact that it doesn't matter that much. More important is what you do in the game. There are teams who could have the worst drafts imaginable and still win. I'm not saying that's the case here. I do think that there was an edge over the side of Godsent, but Granit were just playing it better. There were some really questionable decisions coming out from Godsent throughout this game. The Baron play, that was one that I was really scratching my head at when they just decided to start Baron. It's like, okay, they were controlling mid so well. They had this clear protection for their backline, and then they were just like, hey, let's start Baron. And it's like, why? I don't know.
Because catch is a fun game, Orcs. That's why. Because catch is a fun game because everybody seemed to want to throw.
Well, what clip have you guys selected to look back on? Look at the drawing board. I kind of want to see what you guys have chosen for this particular.
To be honest, I could have chosen the Baron fight, but I was kind of generous about it. I picked the Dragon fight instead. Oh, I had one feed. Okay, I had a feed that I thought was the drawing board feed, but it was actually just our normal feed. So it's Godsent with mid lane priority. They're kind of set up, and I think this is kind of maybe the strongest fight that Godsent get, and they immediately burn Galban's ultimate. And I remember Orcs when we was in call, we said, what if Dr. Chaos just pulled the trigger right there, got 5-man Cataclysm? He probably would have died. Granted, weren't quite in position yet, but it's Silk that goes over the wall, and both Dr. Chaos and Silk end up Cataclysming themselves, and it does kind of choke off this entire area. Godsent can't really advance. Oh, I've got the wrong tool. They can't really advance in properly, but Galban now doesn't have armor. He's getting chunked up in the top side, and Tamoz has a really good flank, and I'll pull it back into normal, and he's about to get the third slam in, but Zombie slams him away. It separates Granit from the rest of the team. Unfortunately, Galban doesn't have R, so he can't just run through the fight, and Granit were in a position where they could have won that fight in particular had they actually, not had Tamoz thrown out by Zombie. But that fight didn't even really mean much in the end because everyone's throwing, everyone's catching. Godsent wanted to do Baron, and stuff happened, and then Granit won.
Do you know what? I think to really distill this game, I need to talk to someone that was in it. And Dr. Chaos was in that game. First of all, Dr. Chaos, massive congratulations, because you are now in the playoffs. This must be a huge weight off your shoulders. Obviously, it's a tense situation coming into a best of one. How were you guys nervous coming into this game? Were you guys kind of sort of feeling the pressure a bit coming into this match?
Well, to everyone in the game or in the pre-lobby, they know we are not that nervous. We have Sahira in our team, and he's always cocky, and that kind of keeps the pressure off everyone else. So, and yeah, we joke around a lot before the game, so we kind of like just get in the game, and everyone is there and ready to rumble.
Of course, in the game, it was a little bit wild. Like there were some throws back and forth. Obviously, the early game, I really felt like Godsent were in control, but you managed to get that really big sort of fight around the dragon, and so the Baron, where you kind of really turned this game on its head. How did you guys, like, where were you aiming for your win conditions? Like, what were you saying in game to communicate and say, well, this is how we actually need to take the game and win?
To be honest, I think early game we were kind of in control. We got gold leads and felt everything, but mid game it fell a little bit apart. We had our win condition on the dragon, and then we overcommitted on it for no reason. But our comms were still calm, and we just tried to look for something, look for the miracle play, and yeah, we did it.
Yeah, sorry. So I meant when I say early game, I often mean like up until the late game. Like mid game, yeah, it was definitely a little bit rough. But obviously, like when you were in control towards the end of the game, were you guys like going off on comms? You saying, "Oh my god, like we've actually beaten them, we've actually won, we turned this around." Like was it quite hype in the comms?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We're always really hyped. Like when we win, we're screaming. It's always warning for headphone users. That's what I want to say about that. You can imagine the rest. I think after the first game, someone posted the comms of the end in it. It's not as hypey all the time, but yeah, close to it.
And obviously, you guys now have the NLC Championship in your sights. Obviously, you know, we talked about, me and you off air talked about the European Masters in your sights now as well. So you've got these two really big goals that you are striving to achieve. This is the first step that you needed to take. How are you now going to approach playoffs? How are you kind of going into playoffs, and what is your game strategy in terms of like how you're going to prepare for both 11.4, but also the teams that you're going to be facing?
There will be some big changes to like our playstyle. I think we come in with a new man, as far as I know, and it will change up the team a lot. So people will need to respect us more for sure. And yeah, I think we can really clap some people. I'm really happy. The scrims have been going well, and well, that's why we kind of into today probably, but or like not into it, but the mid game. But yeah, and I'm really looking forward for it. I think we can reach a lot, especially with the change-ups we've done for playoffs.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing Granit clap some teams in the playoffs. Keep that confidence. It's something that makes you really unique. I think, you know, with Sahira especially, you guys have got a really glowing presence about the team. It's always nice to see in games. So I think we've got to wait to see how you perform next week. Hopefully you give us some good series, and we'll see you then.
See ya. Have a nice one.
I'm a big fan of Granit, guys. They're all really nice, and they're all really confident. And you know, and actually, you know, Sahira comes in with a personality that's often a little bit like, you know, I guess almost heel-like. He's got like a heel-like personality, like, you know, from wrestling, like the very ostentatious, like loud. But it's such a positive influence sometimes for a team to have someone like that who's just like, no matter the odds, is always super confident about the way they play. Like genuinely so self-confident that it rubs off on the rest of the team. And I think you can see that because Dr. Chaos, I think I remember talking to him at the start of the split, and he was a bit more quiet, a bit more reserved, a bit more kind of like, I would guess, measured about the way he talked. But you can see the presence that Granit have evolved into over the split. And I think it's in no part, and he even mentioned it in his interview, it is in no short part due to how I think Sahira plays and acts and how he hypes the team up. And you can see the change in the way that the team is approaching. Like the most marked thing to me was when I was in an interview with Dr. Chaos, and I said, you know, are you realistically thinking about European Masters? And he said, what a bloody dumb question. Like, of any team worth their salt is. And, you know, that confidence was, it took me off guard, but it was what you want to see from a team like that, you know, just to come in and be like absolutely ready to clap some teams when we get to playoffs next week. Very cool stuff to hear the guys chatting that way. We actually, I believe, now have the bracket ready to show you. If I'm going to double check that. I think We don't. Max is telling me we don't. Okay. Well, we have other things to do. Highlights.
Yes.
There we go. Let's have a look back at the highlights. Let's have a look at the highlights from today. Obviously, we had some really, really fun games to watch. The first of the day was that Singularity Barrage match.
Yeah. It was a hypey game. I'm kind of disappointed in a way in SNG because I feel like it's such a big lead to kind of fumble. But hey, sometimes League of Legends matches happen like that. And Barrage, they more than capitalized on it. Cleaning up the Baron fight, and of course this mid lane fight, the final fight of the game, I believe. Just kind of running through SNG at this point. Dragda and Prospect didn't have, unfortunately, the best game for themselves, and this was Tricked. Nordavind, Tricked really kind of, I feel like, won the game almost from draft. Nordavind were always going to be in a really uphill battle, I feel, with a composition like this, and Tricked honestly played it really, really well to not fall behind, but also get really far ahead. As you can see here, Ericsson not able to even find lethal or near lethal damage on Nochu.
Yeah, I feel like in a lot of these situations, we're seeing these teams who have like this sort of group up death pool compositions doing really well, and the teams who have a bit more nuance to their comp, where they need good approach angles, good flanks, are kind of struggling just because it's more difficult to execute. The pressure's really on. And that's with regards to the first two games. This game, Godsent and Granit, was just messy. A lot more messy than the other two. A lot more chaotic, but Granit seemed to flourish in that. And I think that's what we saw earlier in the season from them. Obviously, they had that really rough patch, but day one, Granit embraced the messy games and managed to challenge some upper end teams. So the fact that they came out strong in this one, positive to see. Hopefully, we'll get that sort of Granit we saw from the early weeks of the split, because that's what we want in playoffs. So they're going to have a good run. They're going to impress. They need to be playing it the way they were then. And I think that draft kind of alluded to that. Yeah. I do think you need to update that a little bit, especially since we are going to be on patch
11.4.
11.4, yeah. So maybe update things a little bit. But playstyle wise, still keep it the sort of Granite way.
Yeah, keep it the same. We're not in January anymore, guys. It's February. We're almost in March.
Okay, the year's gone by pretty quickly, actually. I was just talking to Emily about that. It's like the year's just kind of already flipping by. We will have an MVP of the day. Now, this is a surprise to me. Orcs had to kind of just do this himself. So, Orcs, who have you chosen for your MVP of the day?
I have chosen the man himself, Kevo. I think he had a great game on the Kai'Sa. I think he was really solid in the picking up a ton of kills, really aggressive, and in the team fight, picking up that triple kill. And I know I says double flame Horizon. Got a double flame Horizon over his opponent, had over 200 CS lead. And you may be thinking, but his lane opponent was a fasting Senna. And I would say, yes, that's completely true. But I just don't care.
That's not how it works, though.
Whatever. But I mean, I just think he played it really well. I think we've had a lot of players. I mean, Kai'Sa's firmly in the meta. A lot of players we've been looking at and being like, oh, great play from like the likes of Chrisberg. A lot of names that we sort of attribute to being big Kai'Sa players, and Kevo just came in absolute storm. Even when they were a bit behind in that game in the early stages, he was looking good. And then when they did find the momentum, he was the big driving force for the game. And again, double flame Horizon. Don't see that very often. Over 200 CS lead over the Senna, which is, what was Dragda doing? Why aren't you farming? Who knows?
We know, I think double flame Horizon, you don't get to see it that often. It's a perfectly valid reason for the MVP of the day, Orcs. We have, usually about this time I'd show you the standings, but the standings are done now. Groups are over. We are heading to playoff bracket mode. So let's take a look at our playoff bracket to see exactly who is matching up in the coming weeks. Our first upper bracket semi-final is BTXL versus Barrage. Of course, we are running a losers bracket, a double elimination format. Second upper bracket semi-final was Fnatic Rising versus Tricked. You heard Tricked mention a Vendetta in the interview, thought that his team was good enough to beat Fnatic Rising and he couldn't wait for this matchup. Lower bracket, we are going to have Nordavind and Kova as our first, and then Singularity and Granit, and our two new additions to the NLC have both made it to the playoff stages. Of course, if BTXL, Barrage, Fnatic Rising, or Tricked lose, they will have that second opportunity to go into the lower bracket, into the elimination match 1. For Nordavind, Kova, Singularity, and Granit, it is do or die all the way to the grand finals. Any lost series will mean elimination from the playoff brackets. So, Lots of good matches. We are now leaving the best of one territory. We are starting to head towards best of three formats as well. So we're going to have more draft strategy, more adaptation, longer series on our hands for all of these incredible teams that have made it to our playoff stages. And then with that, that is our tiebreakers over, at least the tiebreakers that count for playoffs. We do have another series tomorrow between M&M and Dusty to decide who has to take that relegation spot, which essentially means they'll be fighting for their life in the NLC once the Teliab Masters has concluded and we have a team that is ready to challenge them. And speaking of the Teliab Masters, guys, we have got a lot of teams that have already qualified for that particular tournament to sort of make their way to the NLC. From Finland, we have Nairiki, I think that's how you say it, Deft Fox. We have from Sweden, we have Galaxy Racer and Hybrid. From Norway, we have Bifrost and Nordivid Academy. From Iceland, I believe we have Vita and XS Success. Denmark, we have qualified Absolved. And we are just waiting for another team to qualify from Denmark. It is currently between Astralis Talent and Masonic for the second Telia Master spot. And the UKLC is yet to qualify anybody because we've had quite a lot of tiebreaker situations with the UKLC. We had a lot of things going on. But right now, it is between
Brexit, of course, you know.
Yeah, of course. Right now, it's between London and Enclave and Resolve and M&M Academy.
Yeah.
So there are these playoffs to take place for the UKLC before we have those teams going up towards the Telia. So we have 2 spots.
Resolve finished the split 40-0. So
yeah,
if you sort of have an eye on anyone coming up from there, probably them.
Yeah.
They're a very good team. I think a lot of people probably questioning that, Absolved are a good shout to potentially make it into the NLC with the roster, the split they've had in the UKLC, the split. In fact, Jamada, actually, you obviously have been covering a lot of UKLC. Do you see the main contender is probably going to be Resolve in this upcoming tournament?
Yeah, I think, realistically, everyone's eyes, Galaxy Racers, Resolve, Absolved. I don't necessarily think that the other rosters are too weak in the Telia Masters to compete with them, but you look at these guys, these are the strong men of the tournament, right? Resolve, if you follow UKLC, the whole point of the organization, they just want to get into the NLC. They've been driving forward. That has been the whole point. They failed last split into getting into the UKLC. They obviously made it in this split, and now they want to just make the whole run this year.
I'm actually kind of concerned for Dusty and M&M. I mean, obviously,
so am I.
Both of them are going to be in trouble, but obviously, whoever gets the lowest seed is going to be even worse for them. So, super important the match tomorrow, but there's so many good teams coming through Telia. I actually think it's going to be difficult to match up to them. We had, the likes of M&M going into relegations last time around, and obviously both our teams managed to fight it out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you're going to be able to get away with that this time.
I think the quality of teams coming up from the second tier divisions has only got better, and I think it's going to, especially with the likes of Resolve, Absolved, and Galaxy Racer, as you said, we have a lot of strong contenders, and we've already seen what qualification teams are capable of. Both, Granit and Kova, although didn't necessarily enter the NLC through the traditional method of beating their way up through the relegations, they have come in and have made it to playoffs over some more long-standing and storied organizations that are within. So we have plenty of talent up and coming to the Telia Masters and obviously potentially to the NLC in the future. Now, for the time being, as I said, we have come to the end of our tiebreakers day. We have one more best of 3 tiebreaker tomorrow between M&M and Dusty to decide relegation seeding. But for now, we'll say goodbye and we'll see you soon.